Hi there. So I started doing this series of be a better field target shooter in 15 minutes. And basically, the idea is to cover different topics associated with field target shooting in about 15 minutes, or as close as we can get to that, in a short amount of time, to give you some real big tips and things to focus on to be a better field target shooter. And I'm interviewing different field target shooters from different hunter and WFTF and open and different shooters who are very successful at what they do, and trying to get some wisdom and some tips from them for you. Today we're going to be talking about mental focus and being able to focus on the target that you're shooting whenever there are things around you that can distract you and cause you to miss and lose your focus. And I'm going to be talking with Leo Gonzales. Leo immigrated from the Philippines in the early 80s and became a U.S. citizen, and he now lives in Connecticut. He started shooting field target in 2014, and he actually started shooting WFTF PCP, but now he shoots WFTF piston, which is very challenging. He's been at the top of the podium at many nationals and also worlds. He's topped at the very top tier of WFTF worlds events, and he's been to 3 different worlds. So he's done very well, has a lot of wisdom for us. So now we're going to talk to Leo about mental focus. Hello, Leo. How are you doing today?
All right. How are you doing, Phil?
Very good. And I like all the field targets you got behind you. That's pretty impressive. And if we have time, maybe you can show us one or two. But what I wanted to talk to you today, and thank you for taking the time to share some of your knowledge, but mental focus. I'm wondering if mental focus is maybe one of the most underrated parts of field target. We spend a lot of time and money on equipment. We've got these amazing rifles, we've got the optics, we've got the shooting jackets, and if you're in WFTF, and we spend a lot of time and energy on those things. But I'm wondering if the mental part of the game is something that some shooters sometimes overlook or don't spend enough effort behind. So how important do you think mental focus is for field target?
I think it's pretty important, and definitely people focus too much on the equipment and not with proper practice. I think you could actually benefit from increasing your mental focus and stuff. So, and I've heard so many people, talk about feet per second and foot pounds, and be so into the numbers. It's this number, and it has to be this number, and if not, I'm not going to shoot well. It doesn't matter. For me, it doesn't matter. It's did you practice? Did you get your routine down? Did you get your definitely your mental game, and your you're definitely, if you're focused on doing every shot the best you can, not perfect, but the best you can on the circumstances. That's really what's important. It's your execution of it.
Right.
And mental focus will help you get there, even if your equipment is not compared to another person's is the best, or working in great order. But for me, sorting pellets is not really important. If the tin shoots well, it's pretty much good. It's more like I try to focus on practicing the most difficult shots and put myself into situations where it really challenges me, like shooting in the wind, practicing in the rain. That's really important. Practicing in the wind. That's one thing I didn't practice for when I went to Italy was practicing in the really hot weather. Extreme hot weather. Where you you're really like roasting underneath the sun. that I've never experienced before, but that's one thing hopefully I would never experience again. But that really forces you to be, if you have the mental focus to just overcome the adverse environmental conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the difference between winning and losing. So.
Yeah, I think lots of times we have equipment and rifles that they can shoot better than we can.
Yes.
And the mental focus part is when you kind of don't put enough effort into that, then you're falling short. So what are some things that can distract shooters or take your focus away? So it sounds like I think you said you were in Italy and it was so brutally hot. So the weather or the rain or whatever it is, the weather can take your focus.
Oh, yeah.
What are some other things that can kind of distract you or make you lose focus?
Yeah, definitely. Distractions would be like people talking behind you,
Mm-hmm.
Conversations, even noises. But this is field target. It's very difficult for people to shut up. Really, really be quiet. It's more like
right.
You might remind people behind you, say, could you please keep it down? But you can't do that while you're trying to focus on executing a shot. So maybe before that, you might have to do it. But there's insects, there's bugs. Sometimes it could feel like a tick crawling up your pants or something. And,
right. Yeah,
a fly, a mosquito going into your ear. That's the hardest one. Or a gnat flying around near your eyeball, and they're trying to get into your eyeball and trying to lay some eggs or something.
So when those things happen, somebody's talking or there's insects or something is happening that kind of distracts you. Do you have anything you can do to sort of reset or to focus back on what you were doing? Do you have to just take a second or?
Yes, absolutely. It's more like just taking, it might feel like half a minute but it would be just a few seconds actually in actual time. I remember in the shoot off in England, and it was windy. And it was the kneeling position. We already missed our shots, and it's really like a 15-mile-an-hour wind in the shoot off. And we had to go to the kneeling position. And oh man, people were screaming in the background, and I tried to just focus on just shooting and not hearing people, cheer or And sometimes when it's even worse when they're not talking or not screaming, that's when you hear a pin drop.
That's when the voices in your head start.
Yes. That's even more mentally taxing. But it's more like I had to take a break because on the short target where it was a 1 inch, 25 millimeter kill zone, I missed the target. And I said, oh, this is it. I'm out. I'm done. But I took I think 10 seconds. And I think in the video, it shows me putting the rifle down, taking a few seconds to recoup and said, okay, well, I got the long target. I know how far away it is. I'll just take a shot. And I was able to relax, get my heart rate down, and calculate the amount of hold off for the wind. And I was able to knock it down.
Right.
John Farbrother knocked both of them down. So he won third place, but that led me to a shoot off with Joe Goodwin when we had to do standing. He got the short one, but he missed the long one. I missed the short one. I got the long one. And eventually we went, 1 for 1 for standing for probably 5 shots until it was sudden death. And we had to, fortunately enough, I won the shoot off with a standing shot at 45 yards or something, and in the wind. And
you touched on something there. Sometimes things that distract us are other shooters, or it's the environment, it's bugs and insects. Sometimes it's the voices in your head, because say you just missed a shot, like you said.
Oh yes.
It's so hard to not to put that away. You missed a shot, so you're thinking in the past when you need to be shooting. You're thinking about the past, but you need to be shooting in the present.
Yes.
And so that's focus that can, and the same thing can happen if you know the standing lane is coming up and you're not crazy about the standing lane, and you're thinking about the future instead of shooting in the present. So you touched on that too, and I think that's a big thing that can take your focus as well.
Yeah, it's basically taking a few seconds and saying, stop thinking about the past.
Right.
You have to, there's a task, especially when you start hitting that timer, you're on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Time's ticking, and you gotta get those shots. And it's more like there's really no, once you have the focus and you just, you have your routine down, it becomes like automatic. But, in this past week or so, I shot at the Massachusetts field target state match, where they changed the format where it's 1 shot per target for 50 shots.
Yeah.
And I had previous experience on that course on one target that I always miss.
Mm-hmm.
And I focused on that target. And guess what? I was so focused on trying to get that target that I didn't follow the rules, was I shot it out of order. Right. Targets are numbered, but what the match director did was he switched the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to shoot the closer one instead of the far one. And I was focused on the far one because I was so
that's the one you wanted.
Focused
mm-hmm.
on getting. I got it, but since it's 1 shot per target and I shot it out of order, it didn't count.
Right.
So I just shot it again because it wasn't the first shot; it was the second shot. So I had to shoot again. Got it down twice, but I
only one counted.
Yeah.
But
that's where that's, I would say that's using your mental focus on what's not important at the time.
Right.
Make those mental mistakes, very simple mental mistakes, and
mm-hmm.
will cost you dearly. So it's
So it sounds like the mental part of the game, and we could talk a long time on all the mental parts of shooting, but it's extremely important and probably overlooked a lot. And it can come from environmental things, it could come from people, it could come from just the voices in your own head, the shot that you missed, the shot that's coming up, the shot that you really want to get. But I think the trick is if you find yourself losing focus, like you said, you have to take a break. It might take a few seconds, but restart your shooting schedule or your shooting routine.
Yes,
and just refocus your mind on the target that you're shooting, and
even looking away. Like I literally just look down on the ground, I put down the rifle. Like
mm-hmm.
That helped me at the shoot off in England. That's putting the rifle down, taking a break, and just taking a breather, then picking it back up and getting back into my routine.
Sometimes I'll even I'll talk to myself. I'll coach myself a little bit.
Yes.
Sometimes saying something out loud is a way for me anyway, to reset. Okay, what are you focusing on here, Philip? You need to focus. So anyway, I appreciate you talking to us about it. Anything else you want to mention before we kind of close this session?
Oh, it's for those of you who focus too much on the equipment, practice. I've heard this from one field target shooter who always says who focused on his equipment. He kept on sorting pellets and stuff, and it's like, and making complaining about the shot that he took was perfect, absolutely perfect, and he didn't know why he missed. Well, that's the wrong approach. I think,
right.
You got to be honest with yourself. If you miss, it might be something else. And if you expose yourself to different conditions, especially extreme conditions, not just a calm day, a windy day, a rainy day, a very hot, humid day, and practice in those conditions, that's more important than, getting a small, tiny 10-shot group at 55 yards. I usually just do that as just to get my marks on, but I don't focus on groups and or velocities.
Right.
It's just a number. The power is just a number. Velocities are just a number. What's important is that you can execute the shot in the wind, in the rain, in very difficult conditions, and be able to win that way. So it's just
very good. Good advice. Before we leave, show us that Homer target.
This is Homer target from Flop Over UK.
I love that.
It's one of the most innovative things that the Flop Over has made.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's very neat.
So it might show up in the 2025 Nationals.
Yeah, I kind of hate to shoot that one. Well, I wouldn't want to miss and mess it up. So.
Oh no, it's more like it's after a while, all of these targets that I collect will be eventually shot at.
Right. Very good. I really appreciate it, Leo, and thanks for taking the time. And I appreciate you sharing your knowledge so much.
No problem.
All right. Well, you have a good night. Thank you.
Good night, Philip.